for this, so I'm jumping straight in without the timer. Victor Antonio, sales. There you go. Sales after dark, and this is episode. Man, I can't believe it. This is episode 63, man. I'm super excited, man. So again, I'm waiting for folks to jump on. Yeah, I can't believe it's 63 episodes of this. So if you think about it, that's like four. I think the first episode was like May 4th. Now, if you're watching this on a replay, again, fast forward about 5 minutes so you don't have to wait. But I'm going to say hi to my friends here and just fast forward 5 minutes if you're watching on the replay. I'll say hi to my friends. Then I'm going to do some content, and then I'll take some questions and answers, and then we can take off from there. So super excited. All right, we got Brian. I'm going to take you guys quickly here, man. Again, sorry for being late, guys. I had another engagement online. Vegas here and ready, man. Time to wow us. I'm going to do my best. I think you'll like what I have. Mia Knox, West Coast. Love having you on here all the time. And there is my man, Chris Stone. He says, dude, I was wondering if Sales After Dark was dark for about 5 minutes. It was. I was on another webinar, Chris. Got to handle my biz. You know what I mean? Got to do that. And so I have a great client. And so we just did a webinar for their industry, and we called it After Hours. So it's really cool. So anyway, Juca is here, man. Glad you have you, Juca. Thank you for being here. Sergio, saludos desde Panama. Thank you for being here. Javier Arroyo. Another great lesson? I think so, man. And so I was disappointed with no Victor, but now there's a Victor, so I'm happy. Very cool, man. And then we got Brandon Erickson, Kansas City. Super excited to be here live for the first time, dude. Glad to have you here, man. Like I said, I'm a little late, but we'll go through that. Leon from Jamaica. Love to have you here. We got Clear Results Fitness. Hey, Victor. Tim from Highland Park, Illinois. Illinois in the house, man. Hometown, Chicago. Just found out about you. Can't wait for this. Neither can I, Jacob. Neither can I, man. Should be interesting. Sparrow's Tail. Sorry for missing the last two. Don't let it happen again. Don't let it happen again, Sparrow's Tail. Just kidding, right? Anyway, Edwina says, hi, Victor. Right back at you, Edwina. Kohai. My man. There you go. From Japan. Darius Mingo. That's a cool name. That's a cool name, brother. Is that your real name, Darius Mingo? That's a cool name. We got Shane Smith from Maryland. Appreciate it, Matt. We got Tarun, man. Glad you're here, Tarun. Ariadne. What a great name, right? Ariadne from Quebec. You don't say Quebec. You say Quebec, right? Like every time I see it, I love the name Ariadne. I always think about the myth story about the Greek mythology, right? Ariadne's thread. I love that story. Anyway, so I'm on another call, so I'm gonna jump into the content right away. I'm not gonna wait for everybody else. Everybody can just jump on. Got a couple of more people, and Darius Mingo says, yeah, that's my name. Amir Goshani, I see you from Toronto, man. I see you. So I highlighted something for them. I am a fan, and I have the book downstairs. I am a fan of a company called Corporate Visions, right? Corporate Visions. There's this guy named Tim Reister, or is it Reister? I don't know, one of those two. Anyway, him and another gentleman wrote a book called The Expansive Sale. Let me just highlight that. The Expansive Sale. And this is one of those books that you're like, it is so underrated. There's my man, Michael Moore. I was hanging out with him. This book is so underrated because there's so much great content in here that I'm telling you, you want to read the book. It's a commitment, but it's a great book. And I'm going to highlight Michael Moore here because I had to dig back into the crates as I was telling him, as I was putting content together for the event we just did a little while ago. I had to go back and look at a study that I found within the book, The Expansive Sale. And so what I want to do is just cover a real slice of what I share with Michael and his team. But I think this to me when I saw this, it was like really important. And I want to share this with you, and then we're going to have some fun with it just like I did with Michael and his team. So when we talk about increasing price conversations, this is what I found insightful. There's 6 reasons why you want to raise somebody's price. Let me zoom in on that so you can see it. 6 reasons, right? Michael's going to say, I've seen this before, right? The first one is you can increase their price by saying, look, we're going to offset the increase in price by lowering our costs. In other words, you look to justify that. That's one way of approaching it, right? Or you can say, look, we need to increase your price because of some new features and benefits, right? Or you can anchor them with a high price and then give them a discount. You know, it's going to be this much now, but for you, it's going to be this type of thing. Introduce unconsidered needs. In other words, maybe you introduce something they didn't think about, an insight, something not obvious, and that's why you have to raise the price. We found this, and we need to make sure that the prices go up. Document the price increase, while still being competitive. In other words, you say, look, the reason we're raising our prices is because A, B, C, D, and you show it to them. And the last one is you cite an external factor. Something happening in the market is causing your prices to go up. So they did a survey and they asked companies, which of these excuses do you use to raise prices, right? Good question. And the survey said pretty much the following. I'm just going to run through it real quick, right? Look at the numbers. 4.7% use that as an excuse or a reason. That, and then this one's always the big one. We were talking about that one earlier. And so 24.3% said they cite external factors. So this is just a survey, right? This is just a survey, right? So now let's push one step further. And that is, let's pretend we have a scenario. It's going to be a quick lesson. Let's pretend we have a scenario. And the scenario is the following. You're a small business owner and you got a 2-year contract that's ending with a vendor, right? They hired a vendor. The 2-year contract is almost over. You're going to increase the price. By how much? It's time to renew the contract. So now you want to increase the price by 4%. And you're hoping they'll accept that or they're going to switch to another vendor. The question then becomes, which approach do you use? This is important. Which approach do you use when actually increasing price? When you're presenting an increase in price, which approach do you use? And so again, got the scenario. It's a 2-year contract with the vendor. 2-year contract is up. It's time to renew. The question now becomes is, you're going to go in there and ask for 4% increase. What strategy should you use so they don't switch? That's the key. What strategy should you use so they don't switch? So here are the 6 reasons they might switch. Now, let me give you all of them, and then I'll walk through them slowly. The first one is, let me zoom in, got it? Now, the first thing, and I'll put it here so you guys can see that, right? Cool, there it is. So the first one is unconsidered needs. When we talked about unconsidered needs, in other words, if I raise my price by 4% and I tell them there's some unconsidered needs, things we didn't think about, that's why we got to increase your price by 4%. Would you use that as a good reason for increasing your price? Do you think that's a good reason? Do you think they'll accept that? Or will they switch? How about this one? New features. So what they do is they offer 8%. They say, look, we have a new product with new features coming out. It's going to be 8% more, but we're only going to charge you 4%. That's called the anchor condition, right? So again, first one is, look, there are things we didn't consider, so we're going to have to increase your price by 4%. The second one is, hey, this product has some new features, new benefits, therefore, everybody else is going to increase to 8%, but you know what, for you and you alone, you're going to get 4%. So anchor them at 8, drop it down to 4. Scenario number 3, condition number 3, new features again, but you go straight for the 4% increase. Look, it's a new product, has new features, it's going to be a 4% increase. Obviously, you're going to say nicer than that, right? Now, the next one is, again, new features. It's an interesting condition here. 8%. I'm going to give it to you for 4%, but you have to what? Do it within a certain time. In other words, it's time sensitive. How about that condition? Now, how about if you cite external costs, or external factors rather? There's something happening in the market, right? Something's going on in the market that's causing you to have to increase your price, right? So this is like, it's one of those factors this external factor. The last one is you remind the client of, again, all the things that have to change. And I know you guys can't read that right there. Let me blank that out. You remind the client of the risk of change and sunk cost. In other words, Mr. Client, look, we're going to have to increase the price by 4%. And I just want to remind you, you really want to stay with us. We've been through all this together. We've invested all this time. And you know what? you don't know what's out there, so therefore you should stay with us. So my question to you is, and I want you to vote on the chat, I want you to vote, is which one of these conditions is more likely to make the customer switch? Like if you used one of these strategies, they'll switch. Which one do you think it would be? In other words, which is the worst strategy? That's what I'm asking you. Which is more likely to cause them to switch? Like which one? Come on, give me a number. Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Which is, by the way, don't say best. I'm looking for the worst one because remember, I'm proposing a 4% increase, right? And I'm going to use one of these 6 strategies, but if I use one of them, it's going to force you to switch. Which is the worst one to use? We got 2. Kohai says 2. Juka says 1. JCSC says 3. Who else? Sedhill says 1. Mia 1. G. Fallon says number 4 is the worst one. Cheryl says 1. I think I'm working with a really good group here. Garrett says 6. Brian Gator says 4. Sensual Obsessions. Glad to have you back, brother. Darius Mingo says 6. So the worst strategy. Now, so you got the worst strategy. Now, what would you consider the best strategy to keep them, that they're more likely to stay? So here, do this. Switch equals, put a number. Stay means they stay with you. What strategy would you use? In other words, if you use, what strategy would cause them to switch? Put switch equals whatever number, and then what strategy would cause them to stay? Which scenario are they more likely to stay with you? What do you guys got? 2 is the best, 5, 3, 2 is the best, 1 is worse. Okay, so here's what they found. The worst strategy, which is the one that's going to get them to switch. Let me see. Okay, so now I got switch and stay. Switch is 1, stay 6. That's Cheryl. Switch 1, stay 4. Got it. You guys are following the rules. You guys got it. You guys are following the rules. So switch and stay, man. That's what we're looking for. Switch and stay. Switch 1, stay 4 says Juka. So you got to put switch and stay or else I don't know what the number means anymore. So we got a couple of people says, again, give me switch. What strategy is the worst strategy? Stay. What strategy is the best strategy? Brandon says 406. Give me a switch or stay, man, real quick. Switch or stay. Okay, so we got switch equals 1. All right, Klaus, Kobe. Got you, man. All right, so switch. So let me go through the list real quick then. Sergio says stay number 6. Love that. All right, so here's what we found. The worst strategy that would get somebody to switch, right? The worst strategy is actually what? Number 1. That's the worst strategy to use, right? That's the worst strategy. If you want somebody to switch, use that strategy. They'll switch. So that's the worst strategy. What's the second worst strategy? This is interesting. The second worst strategy is a new feature, right? But this time, there's no anchor. People don't like that. It's just like a straight 4% increase. So let's go through them. The first one, unconsidered needs, is you bring something new to the table. Well, we didn't think about this. We didn't look at this. We didn't understand that. This just happened. Therefore, that's unconsidered needs. That's the worst strategy. The second worst strategy is to say, hey, we have some new features and benefits, and we're going to increase your price by 4%. Why is that a bad strategy? Well, very simple. At a high level, think about it. If you tell me that that product has new bells and whistles, how do I even know I need the bell and whistle? I don't know if I need the bell and whistle, so therefore, why are you charging me for something I might not even use? Keep that in mind. So the third worst strategy is almost the same thing. Anchor them at 8, give them at 4, but make it time sensitive. Now, let's get to the 3 best strategies, right? One is, this one was very surprising. Again, number 4 in getting them to switch, which means they're more likely to stay with this one. Right? But here are the 2 best strategies. I'll give them to you really quick. That one right there, beautiful graphic coming game. Number 5 is the second best strategy to keep them. Number 5 is a good stay strategy. But the winner, obviously, is the last one left, is number 6. And some of you had it already. Yasser had 1 and 5, switch 1, stay 5, very close. Whoever had 1 and 6, you were the winner, right? And so this is really fascinating because it depends how we line up the argument that would cause somebody to switch or stay. And so if you want somebody to switch, like leave you, just play here, there, and number 2. But if you want them to stay, in other words, the customers are very understanding. If you look at number 5, external factors. Customers know what's going on in the market, but if you explain to them what's going on in the market and you're authentic about it, that's going to help keep them with you. But also, you remind the client of everything you've been through together. This is a great conversation to have. There's something called an availability heuristic, and that is, in order to stay top of mind, sometimes you have to mention things to your client. Look, for the last 2 months, we've been working on this program. We've gotten to the point where we've gotten this design down. In fact, we got 10 people to now agree on this design. We're so far ahead, and that's all mental, physical, time, sunk cost. Why would we want to change now? Because then we'd have to redo the whole thing over and then get everybody to agree. And so again, I thought this was really interesting because when I saw this, it may allow you to kind of change your sales conversations when you're talking to clients. And I would ask you to consider external costs and remember sunk costs. Sunk cost means that's the time you've invested, your energy. It could be money as well, right? And again, getting people all on board is also part of the sunk cost. We've done all this work. Remind your clients of that or they forget about it. Now, I'm not doing the book any justice. Again, in this study, the study in the book is called The Expansive Sale. Read what they have to say. They go into more detail, and I'm just giving you the high-level version of this. But I think it's a powerful conversation. And when I read the content, I was like, and I read the book about a year ago, and I think it's one of the most underrated sales books out there. And I want to thank Michael Moore because, again, we did a webinar together, and he forced me to go back and dig for some of this content that I had already prepared. And so hopefully you enjoyed it. And that's it for the Sales After Dark. Now I'll take some questions. And like I said, sorry to be here late, man. I'm usually on time, but, you know, it is what it is, man. Oh, man. Brandon, that is a long statement. Dude, I got to get my glasses for that one, Brandon. You're killing me on this one. Hold on a second, Brandon. Let me pull you up here, man. It was like the most recent order I made online for a frozen food delivery service. It arrived a couple of days late, and I left town thinking I would come back to bad food. They responded and gave me a full refund and asked to retain business because of the spirit of the full transparency. They told me that they were unanticipated dry ice needs and were unable to deliver on the expected day. Immediately, I felt more bonded to them, and I will stay a loyal customer, longer term loyal customer. Isn't that it? When they're just forthright and honest. It's for some reason we forget that though, Brandon, sometimes, right? Just let them know what's going on. As soon as you hear that, you go, oh, okay, I get it. Right? Because when they don't tell you that, I don't know if you ever thought about the opposite of that, Brandon. When they don't tell you that, then, you know, there's a psychological term called, let me see if I can write it down here. Let me see. I'll come back here. There's something called the fundamental attribution error, you know, and I'll just pull that down, Brandon, if you don't mind. And the fundamental, I'll write up here. It's called the fundamental mental attribution. You guys probably know what this is. Error. The fundamental attribution error is the following. When I assume something because I don't have information. So in Brandon's case, if the food arrived there late, he could have just assumed they don't care about me, I'm not important, I'm not a priority, my order's not that big, why would I want to actually order something from them again? That's the fundamental attribution. Brandon would have superimposed his feelings, his thought process on what was actually happening. That's a fundamental attribution error. But as soon as the customer tells you, look, we have this disruption in our supply chain of dry ice, which caused this, B, C, that's why it happened. And then Brandon goes, oh, okay, so now I get it. It's not me, it's basically your supply chain. And so that's why it's important to really let customer know what's going on. So I'm glad that's a great example, by the way, Brian. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for that one, man. I really like that one. 5 is awesome, but you also need to be prepared to offer discount when the market changes. Create trust for the win-win partnership by being honest. Can't argue with that, man, Brian. I cannot argue with that. Ramon Betances, mi amigo hermano. Good to see you. Let me see. I've learned so much from you. So glad you share this knowledge. Thank you, Lily, for stopping by, man, and commenting. No question. Simply wanted to let you know I love your podcast. Garrett, you're awesome. Garrett Murdoch, GM in the house. Cool. Imagine having to make this decision to increase prices in a highly competitive industry. That's why I sit here. I'm telling you, and I'm telling everybody who's listening to me on this and watching me, I'm telling you, the expansive sale the book. Go get it. It's what I'm telling you. You know what? I should create a book list of what I think are the most underrated sales books out there. Because sometimes the most popular books that are most, by popular means everybody talks about them, get the most, I guess, media attention, right? Or social media attention. But there's books that are just sleepers. And this one, The Expansive Sale, is a sleeper, man. It's, maybe I should just create a book. I got about 5 or 6 books that I think are sleepers that nobody probably knows them, maybe even heard of. And maybe I'll just create something around that. Maybe I'll do a Sales After Dark just on that, right? That'd be kind of cool. Anyway, thank you. Let me see. We got Silva, Neil. Just a reminder, it is okay to tell a customer that tries to negotiate. The old price is no longer available. It's a small increase. The business needed it. We will continue to give you the same great service or product. No other excuse or apology needed, right? Sometimes, and the thing is, when you're talking to somebody, Neil Silva, I'm with you, because when you're talking to somebody who understands the win-win, who understands profitability, who understands business, when you say, look, here's the situation we're in. We're not going to be able to sustain our business if we don't increase price, but this is why. And then you can comment on the external factors. And again, if they're reasonable, they're going to say, I get it. I get it, right? It's the unreasonable people who don't get it. So thank you for your comment. That's a great comment. Thank you. Let me see. Cheryl says, yeah, please share your book list. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that one. I think that's starting to bother me. I think I should do that one. Just, the unknowns, those great books out there. Thanks for the info. I have a long list of books based on your live streams. Thanks, Vic. Thank you, Elkin. Let me see, who do you have? We got Klaus. You are great, Victor. I need to have a personal conversation with you. You and 100 people, man. So like I said, if you send me an email and just, if you make it compelling, I'll respond. If it's not compelling, I won't respond. Test. Go, Klaus. Go. My pleasure. Sorry for the typo. Voice typing. Doesn't matter, man. You see my spelling. Do that. Create a forum to discuss the topic. I would love to do that, man. Super excited all the way from Gold Coast, Australia. Daniel, man, what time is it over there? It's got to be, it's 11 in the morning over there, or something like that, right? So you're good. Yes to the book list. Okay, great. The Expansion Sale by Eric Peterson and Tim Reiser. Is this the book you are referencing? Yes, The Expansive Sale. I keep saying expansive, The Expansion Sale. Sorry about that. Thank you for the correction. It's a great book. Look up, people always ask me, who are people I admire, I like. And I really like to bring that up because somebody always gets mad. But Tim Reister, I think it's Reister. I like this guy, man. I like this guy in the company he works for, Corporate Visions, because they do a lot of studies in the realm of selling. And he's also, I've seen him present too. He's actually quite funny and very informative at the same time. And I think that is a deadly cool combination. So don't let him see this part of the video, because then he'll get a big head because I complimented him. So anyway. Cool, man. But he's a good guy, man. I've been listening to your podcast for years and use them in my sales team and director team stand-ups for the Medicare supplement insurance industry. I'm surprised it took me this long to finally watch you live. Love this. Thank you so much. Brandon, you're awesome, man. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to the Sales Influence podcast. It's been around for a while, man, but thank you. Hi from Nueva York, Jennifer. Welcome. You'll have to watch it on the replay. Jennifer. Lily says, people reject our offers when they do not understand what they are buying. That's why I learned from Victor. Thank you, Lily. It's the same thing, right? It's just about clarifying. Is this it? The Expansion Sale 4 must-win conversations, keep and grow. Yes, it is, Silva. That is the book. I am telling you, buy the book. If you don't like it, you can just send me a big complaint letter, a screw you letter. But I'm telling you right now, that you will go slowly through that book, because it's not theoretical. There's a lot of tactical stuff, and it'll change the way you talk to your customers. One of the things I talked to Michael Moore and his group before I jumped down here, and I'll tease you with this. They have a flow, a conversation flow for an apology. Like, how do you say sorry to a customer? And I've never seen any sales book do that. This book did it, but it did it with a study. So it'll show you, I think it's like 5 different conditions, 5 ways of doing it. And then it tells you which one works the most effective. And it'll give you the actual flow of it. And the answer is not what you think. That's what you'll find out. So I'm telling you, it's a great book. I'm not hyping it. It's just a good book, man. It's just a good book. But that is the book. Brian, again, thank you very much for that. Thank you. You're right, Victor. Some of the great Facebooks are hidden. I don't know what that means, Leon. Hit me back again with that one, man. You're right, because some of the great Facebook are hidden. I know a lot of great books are hidden, man, that nobody talks about. Victor, why I don't understand is why are business increasing prices these days in spite of the pandemic? Sir, it's because a lot of supply chains. For example, the folks I was talking to before this, they're in the pool industry. And so their supply chain, there were supplies from whether it's China, international markets, whatever it may be, Japan, have been interrupted because of the pandemic, because they're not working over there. They're not making stuff. If you go to your local electronics store, I went to Best Buy, I went to Guitar Center, which is just a mess right now. And they don't have stuff. They just don't have. I went to get an HDMI cable. Yeah, sure. And they didn't have an HDMI cable at Guitar Center, if you can believe that. And then I went over to Best Buy. They did have the cable, but then there were other things they simply didn't have. And so that's because of the supply chain. So there's a lot going on. So hopefully that helps. Sales Velocity Academy is a sleeper. Boom! Love you for mentioning that. Check out the Sales Velocity Academy. Also, make sure you subscribe. Hit the little notification button so you know when I go live. But check out the Sales Velocity Academy. I'm adding some nice courses on there, and it's a great academy if you're starting out in sales or even if you're at high-level sales. There's 3 levels to go through, so thank you for that. I appreciate that, Silva. I meant the book. Yes, absolutely. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. And I'll take this one. Yes, supply chain is price gouging. Some are getting in trouble now. Yeah, price gouging is never a cool thing. I'm with you on that, Jennifer. Taking advantage of people's miseries is never a good thing. I understand that people have to make a profit, but I think there's a legitimate way of making a profit, bumping up prices because the demand is there. But, gouging people, we got to remember, right? We're all going to come back off of this pandemic eventually, and people remember, they have long memories. And, it's not worth ruining your reputation. So thank you for bringing that up, Jennifer. Sergio says, thank you for sharing, man. Thank you. FYI, cost increasing due to COVID compliance requirement. Cost also, right? Sales Velocity rocks. Thank you, man. So yeah, also compliance requirements, right? There's just so many reasons. My man, you need to be selling your own books. They are the truth. They're back there. Just look up Victor Antonio. You'll find my books. I know I recommend everybody else's books but mine, man. That's all good. Look, man, my goal is to make sure that, I give you great content that you can share and that you can use and you can make a lot of money with. And again, I believe in value for value, which means when you sell a product and you can help a company grow or an individual grow and you make money, I think that's the ultimate win-win. So, I love doing this, man. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Chris. I know what you mean. Thank you, man. I'll promote. Go get my books just to make Chris happy. Go get one of my books online. But I'd rather have you go to the Sales Velocity Academy because I don't know about you. I like watching videos and I like learning through videos. Victor Torres, you're very welcome, my man. Gracias. Leon, that's what I meant. Okay, cool. And then Elkin. A lot of products sold in USA come from China, and they were also hit by the pandemic. This affected the production line as well as shipping time for goods to get here. Absolutely correct. Do you have audiobook formats? I do not. So sorry about that. Let me see. Willie Sanders. Love that. Thanks for sharing the podcast list also, man. You're very welcome, man. That was a good list, right? I like the fact that I made the podcast list. It was like the top 42 podcast list. I know Chris Stone knows that list. Chris, pop that link on there so we can share the top 42 best podcasts. Obviously, mine is probably the best, but they didn't want to put it number 1 because it'd just be too obvious. But anyway, cool. Hey, have you read the book, The Goal? I have not. I've seen it, Brandon, but I have not read it. Do you recommend it? Because this book came out years ago, right? I think it's at least a decade old, right? Hit me back on that one. Paco LeBron, right back at you, brother. All right. Sam, where you been, Sam? Hey, Victor, did you watch Apple event? Have you noticed the low prices? Do you think the lower price has become a feature for big brands like Apple? I don't know enough to answer that question. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not gonna pretend I know. Sam, I don't know. I mean, I know did they just become like a $2 trillion company? That whole thing, whatever. It's an interesting market. I was watching something on Tim Cook on how he really pivoted the company 2 years ago. 2 years ago on including services as part of the offering, not just, the phones and the computers. And so also adding services like cloud services and things like that. And that's what's really made the company grow. So that's a great business case, I think. They're going to look at that and say, right after Steve Jobs passed away, many people doubted Tim Cook could step in his shoes. Everything took a dip, and then he brought it back out. And regardless of your opinion of Tim Cook, you got to admit, back. And so it's pretty interesting how he went after that business. So interesting. Great list. Appreciate it. Number 4. Am I number 4? How dare they put me number 4? I'm actually glad I just made the list, man. It's all good. Anyway, on that note, let me give you my final thoughts before I head out of here. So when you look at these conversations about pricing, I think it's very difficult, but I think in essence, we can just sum it up like this. Just be honest and forthright. I think customers will understand. I think Brandon had a great example about the dry ice, right? When you tell customers this, one of the reasons I want you to read the book because it tells you how to explain this to your customer and in what order to say it, right? So it also gives you a sequence in the book. And so keep that in mind that people just want you to be forthright. But I think number 6 was also interesting, is that we have to remind customers who are thinking of, when switching because of a small price increase, let's remind them of the investment that they've made with us. The relationship is obviously, one, but also let's just say the mental investment, the time and effort of working as a team together, all the people we've gotten on board to actually agree on a certain direction. These are all things we can talk about to a customer to get them to stay in and realize that a 4% increase or a 10% increase, whatever it may be, is worth it if they want to continue to work with us. And finally, I would say this. The default for every person, every buyer, is the status quo, not change. So when you can remind a customer of the risk of change or the cost of change, then they're more likely to want to stay with you. But I would also emphasize, let's be honest, let's be forthright, let's be very open. And on that note, I know you guys got a couple more, but I am signing out of here. This is Victor Antonio with another episode of Sales After Dark, reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how. Take care. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.